Long ago in the quiet countryside of colonial America, there lived a boy who would one day grow up to become the first president of the United States, George Washington. But this story is not about the great general. It is not about the leader of army. It is about a small boy, a simple mistake and a powerful truth. And it all began with a cherry tree. A gift for a young boy. George was about 6 years old. He lived with his family on a large plantation surrounded by fields, horses, and fruit trees. His father, Augustine Washington, was a hard-working man who valued discipline and honesty. His mother, Mary Washington, was kind but strict. One winter morning, George's father returned home from town carrying a small wrapped package. "Package? George," his father said with a smile, "I have something for you." George's eyes lit up. Inside the wrapping was a small, shiny hatchet. It wasn't large or sharp enough for serious work, but to a young boy it felt like treasure. "Remember," his father warned, "a tool is not a toy. Use it wisely." George nodded eagerly. The next morning, George walked outside holding his new hatchet. The cold air was fresh, snow had melted, and the orchard looked peaceful. He swung the hatchet at small twigs. Chop, chop! He felt proud, strong, grown up. Then his eyes landed on a young cherry tree in the garden. It was beautiful and delicate, planted by his father only a few months before. George didn't think much. He just wanted to test his strength. He raised the hatchet. Chop! A small cut appeared in the bark. He swung again. Chop! The tree trembled. One more swing. Crack! The young cherry tree fell to the ground. George froze. The excitement disappeared. In its place came fear. George dropped the hatchet. His heart pounded. That was father's favorite tree. He imagined his father's disappointment, his strict face, the possible punishments. Maybe no one saw. Maybe he could stay silent. He picked up the hatchet slowly and walked back toward the house, with his stomach heavy with worry. All day he avoided looking toward the orchard. That evening, Augustine Washington walked through the garden. Moments later, his strong voice echoed through the yard. "Who has cut my cherry tree?" Servants shook their heads. No one knew. He called for his children. George's older siblings looked confused. Then his father's eyes settled on him. "George, do you know who has done this?" Time seemed to stop. He could lie. He could blame someone else. He could stay silent. But something inside him felt heavier than fear. George stepped forward. It was his conscience. His voice trembled, but he looked directly at his father. "Father, I cannot tell a lie. I did cut it with my hatchet." Everyone waited for anger, silence, for punishment, filled the air, for shouting. Instead, his father slowly knelt beside him. "My son," he said gently, "your honesty is worth more to me than 1,000 trees." He placed his hand on George's shoulder. "A broken tree can grow again, but a dishonest heart is much harder to fix." George felt tears in his eyes, not from fear, but from relief. He had chosen truth over comfort. That small moment years later, when he led George's character through cold years winters, later during the American Revolution, when he became president, people trusted him. Why? Because he was known for honesty. Because even as a boy, he chose truth. The child who admitted cutting a cherry tree became the man, trusted to lead a nation. In today's world, it is easy to hide mistakes. It is easy to blame others. It is easy to pretend. But true strength is not in avoiding consequences. True strength is in admitting wrong. Honesty builds trust. Trust builds leadership. Leadership builds nations. Powerful moral. Honesty is more valuable than success. Admitting mistakes makes you stronger, not weaker. Character is built in small moments.